The cathedral doors burst open, and two tiny figures sprinted down the aisle. "Daddy! Daddy! Mommy's having a baby!" Gasps filled the cathedral. The groom, billionaire Sebastian Hartwell, froze. His bride clutched her bouquet like it might shatter in her hands. And hidden behind a marble pillar, a woman watched everything unfold, trembling. The woman Sebastian swore the world would never know about. But why did she come today? And how in the world did the twins find this place? Before we continue, tell me where you're watching from. I love seeing your locations. Now back to the story. 3 years earlier, Emma Rodriguez had made a choice that would haunt her forever. She sat in a glass conference room 50 floors above Manhattan, surrounded by lawyers in suits that cost more than her rent. Across the table sat Sebastian, the man she'd loved, the father of her 2-year-old twins, avoiding her eyes like she was a stranger. "Ms. Rodriguez," the lead attorney said, sliding papers across the mahogany table. "This agreement ensures financial security for you and the children. Mr. Hartwell will provide substantial monthly support. All we ask is your discretion." Discretion. Emma stared at the number on the check. $5 million. But there was a catch. There was always a catch. She could never speak his name publicly. Never post photos. Never tell anyone Sebastian Hartwell was the father of her children. If she violated the agreement, she'd owe every penny back, plus damages that would destroy her. Emma had signed it, not because she wanted to, but because she was 28 years old, alone, and exhausted from fighting a man who could afford to fight forever. But how did it come to this? 2 years before that conference room, Emma had been catering a charity gala in Midtown. She was putting herself through nursing school, working 3 jobs, dreaming of a better life. That's where she met him. Sebastian had approached her during her break, grinning. "You're the first person all night who's talked to me like I'm a normal person." "That's because I have no idea who you are," Emma had replied honestly. He'd laughed, really laughed, and something had sparked between them. For 2 years it was real, or Emma had believed it was real. Late nights talking about their dreams. Weekend trips where he'd rent entire beach houses just so they could have privacy. The way he'd looked at her like she was the only person in the world who mattered. Then came the twins, Lily and Lucas, born 6 weeks premature but healthy and perfect. Sebastian had held them in the hospital, tears streaming down his face. "I'm going to give you everything. All of you." Emma had believed him. She shouldn't have, because 6 months later, everything changed. Hartwell Technologies went public. Sebastian's company exploded overnight. His net worth went from millions to billions. And suddenly, Emma started noticing things. The way his new publicist would steer him away whenever Emma approached at events. The magazine articles describing him as Silicon Valley's most eligible bachelor. Single and focused on changing the world. The way his mother stopped returning her calls. Then came the conversation that shattered everything. Sebastian had sat Emma down in her small Brooklyn apartment. The one he'd promised they'd leave soon for something bigger, for all of us. "The board has concerns," he'd said, not quite meeting her eyes. "About optics. About my image." "Your image," Emma had repeated, her blood going cold. "I need to keep my personal life simplified. Just for a while. A year, maybe 2. Until things stabilize." "Simplified?" Emma had whispered. "Is that what we are to you now? Complications?" "That's not what I meant." "Then what did you mean, Sebastian?" He'd left without answering, and the visits became less frequent. Once a week became once a month, then quarterly. Then came that conference room and that check and those papers that made her disappear. For 3 years, Emma kept the secret. She moved to Queens, finished nursing school, built a quiet life. The twins knew Sebastian as Daddy who works far away, which was true in the cruelest sense. Then the visits stopped completely. Lily and Lucas, now 5, barely remembered him. They'd stopped asking when Daddy was coming. Emma told herself she'd made peace with it. Then came the announcement that changed everything. Emma had been scrolling through her phone one evening when she saw it. Sebastian Hartwell engaged to Madison Wells? influencer and lifestyle entrepreneur. The wedding would be the event of the season. Emma stared at the photo of Sebastian and Madison, both impossibly beautiful, standing in front of the Eiffel Tower. At Madison's massive diamond ring. At the caption, "Finally found my forever person. Can't wait to start our family. #blessed. Start their family." As if Lily and Lucas didn't exist. Emma had felt something crack inside her chest. Not heartbreak, she was past that. This was rage. Cold, clarifying fury at the injustice of it all. Sebastian got to rewrite history, to play the doting fiancé planning his first child, while she raised his actual children in obscurity. She'd almost called her lawyer that night. But then she discovered she was pregnant. And the nightmare became so much worse. Emma stared at the positive pregnancy test, her hands shaking. This wasn't possible. She was on birth control. She'd been careful. Except for that one night. 2 months ago. The hospital fundraiser where she'd run into Sebastian. The conversation that lasted hours. The apology that sounded so sincere. The weakness that led her to his penthouse just to talk. One night. One moment of falling for who he used to be instead of remembering who he'd become. And now this. Emma was pregnant with Sebastian's third child, and he was weeks away from marrying someone else. She couldn't tell him. The NDA made that impossible without risking financial ruin. She couldn't keep it secret forever. The timing was catastrophic. She decided to wait. Let Sebastian have his perfect wedding day with his perfect bride. Then, once they were back from Bali, she'd have her lawyer contact his lawyer. Clean. Professional. No drama. The universe had other plans. The Friday before the wedding. Emma was cooking dinner when Lily asked, "Mommy, why is your tummy getting bigger?" Emma froze. "What do you mean, sweetie?" "Your tummy," Lily insisted, pointing. "It's rounder. Like Mrs. Patterson at school when she had her baby." Lucas looked up from his coloring book. "Are you having a baby, Mommy?" Emma's mind raced. She hadn't wanted this conversation yet. Not until after the first trimester. Not until she'd figured everything out. But her children were looking at her with such hope. Such excitement. "Would you guys like a baby brother or sister?" she asked carefully. The response was instant enthusiasm. Both twins had been begging for a sibling for years. The questions came rapid fire. When would the baby come? Would it be a boy or girl? Could they help name it? "Can we tell Daddy?" Lucas asked innocently. Emma's heart clenched. The twins so rarely mentioned Sebastian anymore. "Daddy and I aren't together anymore, remember?" Emma said softly. "So this is Mommy's baby. But yes, we can tell him eventually. But it's his baby too, right?" Lily asked with 5-year-old logic. "Because that's how babies work. It's complicated, sweetheart. Everything with Daddy is complicated," Lucas said, bitterness sharp in his small voice. "That's why he never comes to see us anymore." The words hung in the air like an accusation. Emma pulled both twins into a hug, fighting back tears. They deserved so much better than this. Better than a father who chose his image over his children. Better than secrets and complications and a mother who couldn't even speak the truth. "I love you both so much," she whispered. "That will never be complicated." The conversation moved to dinner and bath time and bedtime stories. Emma thought that was the end of it. She was wrong. The next morning, Saturday morning, wedding day, Emma woke to silence. That particular quality of silence that meant something was very, very wrong. She rushed to the twins' room. Empty beds. Shoes gone. The front door unlocked. Panic seized her throat. Then she saw it. Lucas's tablet on the kitchen counter. Open to a Google search. St. Catherine Cathedral, New York. Below it, a news article with photos. Inside Sebastian Hartwell's wedding venue. The Cathedral of Dreams. Emma's blood turned to ice. No. They'd figured it out. Somehow, her 5-year-old children had connected the dots. Sebastian's wedding. Today. The baby. The cathedral. They'd gone to find their father. Emma grabbed her phone with shaking hands, called her mother, threw on clothes. Within minutes, they were racing through Manhattan in Emma's ancient Honda, weaving through traffic, praying they weren't too late. "Please, Emma whispered, gripping the steering wheel. Please let me get there in time. But even as she sped through red lights, even as her mother called every contact she had trying to reach someone at the cathedral, Emma knew the truth. She wasn't going to make it. Her children were about to crash a billionaire's wedding. And every secret she'd kept for 3 years was about to explode in front of 500 witnesses. St. Catherine's Cathedral was a fortress. By the time Emma screeched to a halt outside, the ceremony had clearly started. The streets were blocked off. Security guards with earpieces at every entrance. News vans crowding the perimeter. Photographers hoping for celebrity shots. Emma sprinted to the nearest entrance. The security guard held up a hand. Invitation only, ma'am. My children are in there. Emma was gasping, out of breath. They're 5 years old. Twins. They ran away this morning. Ma'am, I need you to step back. You don't understand. They went to find their. She stopped herself just in time. The NDA. One word and she'd lose everything. Emma tried 3 more entrances. Same result. The cathedral was locked down. She was circling to the back when her mother shouted, Emma! There! Through a narrow stained glass window, Emma glimpsed them. Lily and Lucas, holding hands, standing inside the cathedral vestibule in their pajamas and sneakers. They'd actually done it. Somehow they'd gotten inside. Emma tried the service door. Locked. She pounded on it, not caring about dignity or discretion anymore. A maintenance worker finally opened it. Annoyed. Ma'am, you can't. My children are inside. Please, I need to. That's when she heard it. The wedding march, beginning to play inside the cathedral. And then, in the hushed silence before the bride's entrance, 2 small voices rang out like bells. Daddy! Daddy! Mommy's having a baby! Emma shoved past the worker and ran. She flew through service corridors, following the sound, her heart hammering. She burst through a side door into the main cathedral just as Lily and Lucas reached the altar. Just as Sebastian Hartwell turned white as a ghost. Just as his bride demanded, What is going on? Whose children are these? The cathedral had gone completely silent. 500 guests, frozen. You could have heard a pin drop. Every phone in the building came out simultaneously. The photographer's camera clicked rapid fire. Emma could practically feel the NDA disintegrating around her. But in that moment, she didn't care. She started down the side aisle toward her children, trying to stay unnoticed, but Lucas spotted her. Mommy! He broke away from Lily and ran toward her. We found Daddy. We came to tell him about the baby. The whispers erupted like thunder. Guests leaning to each other. Security moving in. Sebastian's publicist looking like she might faint. Madison, the bride, stood frozen in thousands of dollars worth of designer silk and lace. Her bouquet trembled in her hands. She looked between Sebastian and the children and Emma, her face transforming from confusion to dawning horror. Sebastian! Madison's voice carried in the cathedral acoustics. Who are these people? Sebastian looked like a man watching his entire world implode in slow motion. His eyes met Emma's across the cathedral. Panic, guilt, and something that might have been regret. Sebastian started, then stopped. The man who commanded boardrooms, who'd built a billion-dollar empire with his words, couldn't form a sentence. Lily, brave as always, tugged on his expensive jacket. Daddy, aren't you happy? Mommy's having another baby. We're going to be big brother and sister. An elderly woman in the front row gasped. Did that child just call him Daddy? Madison stumbled backward. Her mother caught her arm. You have children? You told me you'd never been married, never had kids, that I'd be your first. He has 3, Emma said quietly. The words dropped into the cathedral like stones into still water. Every head turned to her. Emma walked forward and took her children's hands. She looked directly at Sebastian, then at Madison. Or he will, Emma continued, her voice steady despite her shaking hands. In about 6 months. The murmuring grew to a roar. Sebastian's best man was whispering urgently in his ear. The officiant looked completely lost. Somewhere, A guest was openly recording on their phone. And Madison, beautiful, deceived Madison, did what any woman would do upon discovering her billionaire fiancé's secret family. She started crying. But they weren't sad tears. They were the tears of betrayal turning into fury. You lied to me. Madison's voice shook but didn't break. For 2 years. About everything. You said you wanted to start a family with me. You said. Her breath hitched. How could you? Madison, please, let me explain. Explain what? Madison ripped off her cathedral-length veil, lace tearing. Explain that you have 5-year-old twins you never mentioned? Explain that there's another woman pregnant with your child right now. Her voice rose. Explain that I'm apparently the only person here who didn't know you're a father? A man in the third row muttered, I didn't know either. His wife elbowed him. Sebastian stepped down from the altar, ignoring his groomsmen's attempts to stop him. He knelt in front of Lily and Lucas, and Emma saw his hands shaking. I'm sorry, he said, his voice cracking. I'm so sorry. To both of you. You deserved so much better than what I gave you. Lily looked at him with heartbreaking solemnity. Are you going to visit us now? The cathedral seemed to hold its breath. Yes, Sebastian said, tears visible now. If your mother allows it, yes. I promise. Lucas considered this, his small face serious beyond his years. You said that before you stopped coming. The accusation landed like a slap. Sebastian flinched. I know, he whispered, and I'll never forgive myself for that. But I'm here now. I'm seeing you. And I promise. I swear. I'll be better. And the baby? Lucas pressed. Our baby sister or brother? Sebastian looked up at Emma, questions written all over his face. Is it? We'll talk later, Emma said firmly. Not here. Not now. She turned to leave, twins in tow, but Madison's voice stopped her cold. Wait. Madison had walked down from the altar, her wedding train dragging behind her like a white river. Up close, her makeup was streaked, but her eyes were clear and surprisingly calm. I want to know, Madison said. When did this happen? The pregnancy. When? Emma hesitated. Madison deserved the truth. She was a victim in this too. 2 months ago, Emma said quietly. It was a mistake. One night. I didn't plan for any of this. Madison let out a bitter laugh that echoed off the vaulted ceilings. 2 months ago. We were already engaged. You were sleeping with both of us. I wasn't with Emma anymore, Sebastian protested. We hadn't been together in years. It was just one night. Madison finished. She looked at Emma with something that might have been sympathy. He told me you were nobody, an ex who took money to go away. He made you sound like some gold digger who tried to trap him. Emma's cheeks burned. Around them, the guests were recording everything. This would be viral within hours. He gave me money to stay silent, Emma said. There's a difference. Is there? Madison pulled off her engagement ring, that massive, glittering diamond, and held it out to Sebastian. Her hand didn't shake. You know what the worst part is? Madison said. I really loved you. Not your money, not your status, not being a billionaire's wife. I actually loved you. Her voice broke on the last word. And you never even gave me the chance to know the real you. She dropped the ring. It bounced once on the marble floor with a crystal-clear sound, then rolled under a pew. Madison turned and walked back down the aisle, her head high, her mother and bridesmaids scrambling after her. The cathedral erupted. Guests talking over each other. Photographers pushing forward. Security trying to maintain some semblance of order. Sebastian's mother sobbing in the front row. His business partners looking horrified. A reporter somehow inside shouted, Mr. Hartwell, how many other children do you have? Emma had heard enough. She looked at Sebastian one more time. He was still kneeling where she'd left him, surrounded by chaos, looking more lost than she'd ever seen him. My lawyer will call your lawyer on Monday, Emma said, loud enough for him to hear over the noise. We need to figure this out properly this time. For all of the children. She walked out before he could respond, before the press could swarm her, before she could lose the dignity she'd somehow managed to hold onto through this disaster. But as she pushed through the cathedral doors into the blinding sunlight, Lucas looked up at her with worried eyes. "Mommy? Did we mess everything up?" Emma knelt down and pulled both twins into a fierce hug. "No, babies. You didn't mess up anything. You just told the truth. And sometimes the truth makes a mess. But that's not your fault." "Is Daddy going to hate us?" Lily whispered. Emma's heart broke all over again. "No, sweetheart. Never. This is between the grown-ups. You two did nothing wrong." But as Emma loaded her children into the car and drove away from the cathedral, from the cameras and the chaos and the wreckage of Sebastian's carefully constructed life, she couldn't help but wonder, what happened next? If you're still watching right now, you're exactly the kind of viewer I love. Subscribe so I can keep giving you stories that touch your heart. Hit that bell so you never miss what happens next. The story exploded. Within an hour, #HartwellWedding was trending nationally. By evening, it had gone global. Billionaire's secret family crashes wedding in shocking reveal. Tech CEO Sebastian Hartwell's hidden children expose him at altar. Bride left devastated as groom's baby mama shows up, pregnant. Emma's phone had rung nonstop until she finally turned it off. Reporters camped outside her building. Her face was on every gossip site and news outlet in the country. Thankfully, most had blurred the twins' faces, but Emma was now the most talked-about woman in America. She'd locked herself in her apartment with her mother and the twins. They ordered pizza, put on cartoons, tried to create some bubble of normalcy while the world exploded outside. "Did we do something bad, Mommy?" Lily asked during the movie, her voice small. "No, sweetheart. You didn't do anything wrong. But everyone seemed so upset." Lucas added quietly. Daddy looked sad. The pretty lady was crying. "Did we make them sad?" Emma pulled them both close, fighting her own tears. "Grown-ups are complicated. Sometimes grown-ups make mistakes and then other grown-ups get hurt. But none of that is your fault. Not any of it. Will Daddy still love us?" Lily whispered. "Always," Emma promised, praying it was true. By Monday morning, 3 things had happened. First, Emma's lawyer called, sounding simultaneously thrilled and terrified. "The NDA is functionally void. They can't enforce it now, not with everything public. But Emma, you need to prepare yourself. This is going to get much bigger before it gets smaller." Second, Emma's inbox exploded with offers. Literary agents wanting her to write a book. Producers asking about film rights. Talk shows begging for interviews. A streaming service offered 6 figures for her story. Emma deleted them all. She wanted no part of turning her children's pain into entertainment. Third, Sebastian showed up at her door. Emma had almost not opened it. But her mother had taken the twins to the park, and Emma decided they needed this conversation without lawyers mediating. Sebastian looked terrible, exhausted, unshaven, wearing a wrinkled t-shirt and jeans instead of his usual tailored suits. Nothing like the polished CEO who'd stood at that altar. "Thank you for seeing me," he said quietly. Emma gestured to the couch. "We need to talk anyway." Sebastian sank onto it like a man who'd forgotten how to hold himself up. "Madison's gone. Left the country. Posted a statement calling me a liar and a fraud." He laughed bitterly. "She's right. Sebastian. My board is calling for my resignation. I've lost 3 major contracts. Investors are fleeing. My mother won't take my calls." He looked at Emma. "And honestly, I deserve all of it. Every bit. I didn't come to your wedding to ruin your life," Emma said. "I came to get my children." "I know." Sebastian rubbed his face. "This is all my fault. Emma, I've been the worst kind of coward. I let my fear of looking weak, of not fitting some perfect image, make me abandon the people I loved most." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you're pregnant with my child." Sebastian leaned forward, desperation in his eyes. "Because Lily and Lucas deserve a father who actually shows up. Because I've wasted 3 years being someone I'm not, and I'm done." "Done with what?" "Done pretending. Done choosing image over reality. Done being afraid. He took a shaky breath. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm not even asking for another chance romantically. But I want to be a real father. To all 3 kids. Whatever that looks like. Emma studied him carefully. She'd heard promises before. You understand that real father means showing up? Not just sending checks. It means parent-teacher conferences and scraped knees and tantrums in grocery stores and being there when it's inconvenient and hard. I know. It means the twins knowing they can count on you. Not wondering if today's the day daddy disappears again. I know. And it means co-parenting with me, which won't always be easy or comfortable. I fired my publicists, Sebastian said, this morning, along with anyone else who advised me to hide my children. I'm done building a life on lies. Emma felt something shift. Not forgiveness, not yet. But maybe the beginning of possibility. I need time, she said. The twins need time. You can't just show up and expect trust. You destroyed that. You have to earn it back. I will. However long it takes. Sebastian pulled out his phone. I've already set up a trust fund for the new baby. Same as the twins have. And I'm having my lawyers draw up a real custody agreement. One that puts the kids first. What about Madison? Sebastian winced. What about her? Do you love her? He was quiet for a long moment. I thought I did. But honestly, I think I loved the idea of her. The clean slate. The chance to be someone without this complicated history. He looked at Emma. But you can't build something real on lies. And that's all I ever gave her. Over the following weeks, something unexpected happened. Sebastian actually followed through. He started small. Short visits at Emma's apartment, always with her present. The twins were wary at first. Lucas especially, who'd built walls around his heart to protect himself from disappointment. But Sebastian was patient. He learned their favorite foods again. Memorized the names of all their stuffed animals. Showed up to Lucas's soccer game and actually cheered from the sidelines. Sat through Lily's entire ballet recital without checking his phone once. The media frenzy gradually cooled. Madison gave one interview from somewhere in France. Handled herself with grace, said she'd moved on. Wished Sebastian well but would never speak to him again. The business world was less forgiving. Sebastian stepped down as CEO of Hartwell Technologies, though he remained on the board. His net worth took a significant hit. I'm learning, Sebastian told Emma one evening after tucking the twins in. They'd fallen into a routine, dinner twice a week, bedtime stories, then quiet conversation. How to be a person again instead of a brand. It's harder than running a company. Being human usually is, Emma said. She was showing now 24 weeks along. They'd found out it was another girl. Lily was thrilled about having a baby sister. Have you thought about names? Sebastian asked carefully. A few. Why? Could I be there? For the birth. Emma studied him. 6 weeks ago, she would have said no without hesitation. But she'd watched him show up, day after day, doing the work of rebuilding trust. As their father, yes, she said finally. As my, whatever we are. I don't know yet. That's fair. Sebastian. Emma turned to face him fully. I need you to understand something. I don't know if we'll ever be together again. I don't even know if I want that. You hurt me badly. You abandoned your children. Those aren't things I can just forget. I know. But, Emma continued, I do believe people can change. I believe you're trying. So I'm willing to see where this goes. For the kids. And maybe, eventually, for us. But you have to prove it every single day. Sebastian nodded, looking more humble than she'd ever seen him. That's all I'm asking for. A chance to prove I can be better. 3 months later, Sophia was born on a Tuesday morning. Sebastian was there. Held Emma's hand through contractions. Cut the cord when the doctor offered. And when they placed the baby in his arms, he cried. I won't mess this up, he whispered to the tiny girl. I promise you, I'll be the father you deserve. The father your brother and sister deserved from the beginning. Outside in the waiting room, Lily and Lucas waited with Emma's mother. When they were finally allowed in, Lucas approached cautiously. "Is that her?" he asked. "Our sister. This is Sophia," Emma said softly. Lily leaned over to look at the baby. "She's so small. Will she know who we are?" "You're her big brother and sister," Sebastian said, kneeling to their level. "You'll help teach her everything. About the world. About family. About love." Lucas looked at his father seriously. "Are you going to stay this time? For real?" It was the question Sebastian had been dreading. The one he deserved. "Yes," he said simply. "I'm not going anywhere. Not ever again." Lucas studied him for a long moment, then slowly nodded. "Okay, but if you leave again, I'm going to be really mad." "If I leave again," Sebastian said, "you have permission to be furious with me. Deal?" "Deal." And for the first time in 3 years, Lucas let his father hug him without pulling away. 6 months after the wedding that wasn't, Emma stood in her kitchen making breakfast while 3 children played in the living room. Well, 2 playing. Sophia was still too young to do much besides watch her siblings with wide, curious eyes. Sebastian was coming over for dinner. He came 3 times a week now, sometimes 4. He'd taken an apartment nearby so he could be close. He was rebuilding his relationship with his children one day at a time. Emma and Sebastian still weren't together. Not romantically, but they were something. Co-parents. Friends, maybe. 2 people learning to build something new from the ruins of what had been destroyed. "Mommy," Lily called. "Come see." Lucas built a tower for Sophia. Emma walked into the living room and found all 3 of her children together. Lucas showing off his block tower. Lily making the baby laugh. Sophia gurgling happily, safe and loved. And Emma realized something. This right here was what mattered. Not the perfect wedding. Not the fairy tale romance. Not the billionaire lifestyle she'd once been part of. Just this. Her children together loved. Sometimes the worst moments lead to the best changes. Sometimes 2 5-year-olds crashing a cathedral wedding is exactly what everyone needed. And sometimes love isn't about the grand gesture or the perfect moment. Sometimes it's about showing up, day after day, doing the hard work of being present. Even if it takes falling apart completely to figure out what really matters. If the story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life drama. What would you have done in Emma's place? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And here's something to think about. Emma still hasn't told Sebastian the full truth about why she came to the cathedral that day. There's one more secret she's been keeping, but that's a story for another time. See you in the next one.